All right, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. So today we're going to talk about essentially how the sneaker market is picking back up. If you guys watched my video about 4 months ago, basically it was how to profit off the sneaker market crash. You know, I talked about how many shoes actually went insanely low in price. A lot of people had to hold on to their shoes longer than needed. But what I'm seeing now, thankfully, because I have so many shoes that I'm holding, is that a lot of shoes are actually going back up in price. I've been studying StockX probably for the last month or so, and I've been seeing a lot of shoes rising back up in price, and interestingly enough, primarily Nike Dunks, which is strange, but it has been Nike Dunks. Many great
It's not strange. Typical Dunks.
Nike Dunks have been performing very, very well. And if we go down this list, as we can see, in June went from 100 all the way up to 190, so a $100 increase in price. And I've been seeing this trend a lot with grade school Nike Dunks, and I think the reason for that, the price point is so low initially to begin with that they only have room to grow. So if you're buying them at 100, retail's about 85, they go up all the way to 200. That's 100% return on investment. You're spending 100, you're selling it for 200. You're making a lot. And so the buy-in is so much lower that you can resell them eventually for 200 because people are still willing to pay that. Whereas if a Nike Dunk, for instance, like the Panda Dunk or something like that, that went down in price, was at 300, then they keep restocking them. Of course, they're going to go down in price. So if we go down this list, you can see these in grade school, these triple pinks.
Yeah, that was gonna be a good one.
They're at that 200 mark, all the way up to 250. We continuously see this trend with grade school Nike Dunks. This two-tone right here, this is another Nike Dunk that I spoke about actually in my chat and to a bunch of other people. I literally had my friend FaceTime me the other day because he knows I bought a lot of these two-tone Nike Dunks when they restocked and they were right at about 100. And the reason these went up so much and the reason why I actually chose to invest in these is simply because I had a friend actually tell me that these moved very, very, very quick on certain consignment platforms. And when that's the case, typically they go up in price because they're in demand. And if they don't continue to restock, they're gonna keep going up. And so I took that into account. As we can see, pairs out 100 right after the restock. They're actually going for like 150 and then they drop down right after the restock. And now, you know, they're at 160. If we go to the bigger sizes, which is usually what I buy for grade school Nike Dunks, they're at almost 200, you know, 190, 178, 180, so almost 200. We can see this shoe right here easily hitting the 200 mark. So a lot of these are very low buy-in investments, but very high returns. So that's something to keep in mind. Another shoe right here, I think this one had a little drop right here at 150. So it's always the Nike grade school Dunks starting at about 100 to 150. This right here, you know, 150 all the way up to 200, $50 increase in price in like a month. Here's another one. Solid example, started at 100. I remember looking into the shoe, actually in men's, surprisingly. But right here, same trend. Starts at 100, goes all the way up 170. We come to the prices, 170, 170, 180, 175. For the most part, they're having $70 to $100 increases in price. Do market research when it comes to grade school Nike Dunks, because I think closer to the holidays, they will have a significant increase in price. Let's look at this one, okay?
And the reason why he says that is because a lot of people, they intend to buy a lot of like shoes on the holidays, so something to look forward to as well.
116. This was just 1 month ago. Just 1 month ago, $50 increase in price. It says $50 because I think it's averaging out these as well, but I only invest into the bigger sizes. So as we can see, 181, 174, and so forth.
I remember when those were like dirt cheap. Like all of these mentioning, they're like $100. They were once at $100 when everybody was panicking about the recession and everything. So, let's see what he's looking at.
As holidays are approaching, I would highly recommend going on StockX, doing your market research. Let's look at one more and then I want to move on to Jordans specifically. As we can see, white and red, again, starts at about $100. Remember, grade school Nike Dunks, gonna have to start at around $100 and then go up to about 180, 200. Same exact thing. Takes about a month or two. And always try and go for the ones that you kind of have a feeling that don't have that much stock, because those are typically the ones that you're going to make the most with.
Jordan.
if we go into Jordans, here is another example of a shoe that went up in price as well. I remember when these
See a lot
were
about
going for like
those.
200.
You know about
I bought
those.
an insane amount of pairs of these off of StockX. I'll just put it right here. All my buy-ins were like 200 to 205 for the good sizes, the size 7, 6.5, 6s. Now they're almost at 300. So it's $100 profit per pair. And if you guys remember in the video I put right here, I said buy Grade School.
Facts. Grade school is always good to buy, especially on like Jordans, stuff of that nature.
Grade School around that 200 mark. I did make one mistake though with the men's pairs. I thought they were going to go down to 260. They did not go down to 260. I think the lowest they went to was like 300, and now
280
they're at like
sometimes.
350. So it's only a $50 increase in price. Not as good as the Grade School. And not only that, you're paying less for the Grade School to make more money. You're paying 200 per pair to make $100 per
We
pair.
talked about
Whereas
this
with
too.
men's, you're paying 300 to make $50.
Smaller
So
capital,
it just doesn't make sense in
bigger
my eyes.
gains.
People with
Big
lower
capital,
capital who
but
want
you
to do
also
holds, always try and go for Grade
little
School. If something
gains.
new pops up, buy in if it's low. As you guys remember, this shoe right here, I made a video like a month or two ago saying don't buy them. I'm only going to buy Grade School if they go to 150. But for the Infrared 4 in Grade School, the only way I would really invest
Still
into them
mad about
is
the Infrared.
right now I'm seeing the good sizes are from 160 to 170. But if they go down, let's say under retail, I think I'm probably going to scoop some pairs up in that 5.5 to size 7 range and probably just hold them until they hit like 220, 230 and then sell them off. And if we see right here, we come down. I had a feeling they're going to go down because they're, at about 200 and boom, almost that 150 range. This is where you should have bought in because obviously I just thought the shoe was going to be an outlet shoe and it did hit the outlets.
I filmed before, but I haven't been here in a minute, so I don't know yet.
So again, you're paying $150 for a $50 profit per pair. So with some of these investments, you have to be quick. And like I said earlier too, I stayed away from men's. I saw a lot of these, they have had no change in price for the last 2 months. Another shoe I mentioned in my past video, like 4 months ago, was this patent bred Jordan 1. I don't know if you guys all watched that video, but we all remember when this shoe was literally 200. Let's click right here, 8.5. It went all the way from 300 all the way down to 200 right there. It's at 200, and as we can see, we have a $30 rise in price. So I don't know if you guys remember, I told you guys this might be a good time to buy in some of the smaller sizes because now I think as holidays approach us, I think they should be hitting the $300 mark. So something you could think about, but again, buying them at 200 would have been an absolute steal. And the reason why back then that was a no-brainer was because it's a bred colorway. Bred ones will always perform well. You guys know my earlier investments. Color blockings just like that will always perform well. So let's look at some other shoes that had some decent rise in price. Also, something you guys might want to keep an eye on, this right here.
That's a good one right there.
I know we talked about Grade School Nike Dunks, but one thing I just want to touch on really quickly on men's Nike Dunks, just so you guys know how to invest into them. In the future, all Nike Dunks from now on, specifically men's, not Grade School, they're all going to be starting at around that 130, 140 range every single time they release because they're simply just making too many of them. Back then, if you guys remember, when I used to give Nike Dunk investments like the Photon Dust, Green Glows, the Bordeaux, all of those used to start out at about 200 and they used to go up to 300. Now, the trend that we're going to be seeing is that they're going to be starting at about 130, maybe 140, and they're going to go up to 200 from there. Maybe a bit more than 200, but I'm thinking most of them are going to plateau
Isn't it
at
better
200.
just
Again,
smaller
easy
capital?
$60, $70 profit right there. And most of these have pretty good sales volume. So just know if you're going to
Smaller
invest into
portion,
Nike
just
Dunk in
more
men's,
quantity.
just make sure to only pay around that 130-ish range. Because a lot of them, remember, a lot of them are hitting the outlets, so they all are getting pretty cheap. As we can see, another shoe starting at about 140. Let's look at sales volume, great sales volume. This one had a decent rise in price, as we can see. 140 all the way to 170. This shoe should hit 200 very soon. Remember this video. It's not the biggest rise in price, but it should hit 200 in some of the bigger sizes. So that's one thing to keep in mind for men's Nike Dunks. It could apply for the women's as well.
Oh, that's yeah, that's a sick one right
I hope you guys enjoyed. Basically, I just wanted to recap to you guys exactly what to do now that the market is pretty much coming back. I don't think there's going to be a massive drop in prices again. Good colors are usually neutral, green, the pink colorways. Men's, try and buy them at around 130. Good colorways for Nike Dunks. We touched on the Jordans. Some of them are going to keep going up in price. So if you still have pairs that you're holding, I'm not really sure what you guys are holding. You know, I would hold them till at least October, because I think closer to October they should have a good rise in price, and then you can sell them for the high. If you enjoyed today's video, please give it a big thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it if it gave you any value. Again, big thumbs up, that'd mean a lot. Also,
October time, I see it's peak in December time. That's holiday season. So, you guys very good valid points, in my opinion. This is my boy, Sneaker Investment. I probably already know who he is. He has 124 subscribers, 124,000. So, yeah, I like this one. Tristan Wick, he had a good investment video, but I feel like this one he hit more on a good home run on this video. As you say, neutral colors is a good one. Gray school is always a good one, but smaller cap value for just by buying it. It gives you more quantity for bigger profits. So that's another thing to keep in your head. And for men's sizes, you always want to have big sizes, like 10.5 and up. That's also a good one. Neutral colors, like you said, like your blacks, your grays, your whites, stuff like that. Another good colorway is always the bread colorway and the UNC colorway. Those are the two go-to colorways a lot of people like. Besides that, there's nothing else to speak about it. He already talked about everything, stuff like that. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up right here. Y'all let me know how y'all feeling about this reaction. Stuff like that, how y'all feel about the video as well. Y'all let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And we out.